On the 3rd of April 2015, 4 gunmen stormed the Garissa University College and began firing indiscriminately. By the end, 148 people, mostly students, were dead.
The attack joined a somber list of high-casualty killings that dominated headlines, then slowly faded from public view. But tonight, almost 4 years later, the court delivered what may be the final piece of the puzzle.
3 out of 4 suspects accused of conspiring to and committing those acts of terror have been found guilty. A 4th suspect was acquitted after the prosecution failed to link him to the attack.
And as NTV's Brenda Wanga reports, the 3 will find out the punishment for their crimes on the 3rd of July this year.
For the second time in as many days, the 4 suspects in the terror attack of 2015 at the Garissa University sat pensively in the dock, waiting to know their fate. It was good news for one of the suspects. Hours into his ruling, Chief Magistrate Francis Andai uttered the words that Sahal Diriye had been hoping to hear for the last 4 years.
The 3rd accused person is acquitted of all the counts under Section 215 of the Criminal Procedure Code.
The other 3 were, however, in for a different verdict, one that will undoubtedly bring relief to those who lost their loved ones in that attack.
Imetosheka kwamba upande wa mashtaka umeweza kudhibitisha kesi yake dhidi ya mshtakiwa wa kwanza, mshtakiwa wa pili na mshtakiwa wa 5 bila tashwishi yoyote.
That verdict particularly moving for this mother who'd sat in the courtroom for hours waiting for justice for her child, who was among those killed in one of the deadliest attacks in the country's memory.
In one instance, women students were herded together and told that they were being taken to safety only to be laid down and shot one by one.
The 3 found guilty of 3 charges: conspiracy to commit an act of terror, committing an act of terror, and belonging to a terrorist group. In passing his judgment, the magistrate said the prosecution had proved beyond reasonable doubt that the 3 knowingly agreed to commit these crimes. The first and second accused, Mohammed Ali Abdikadir and Hassan Adin Hassan, were linked to the terror attack through their telephone communication with one of the attackers who was killed on the scene. The 5th accused, Rashid Charles Mberesero, was deemed to have been one of the most important coordinators of the attack. He was also directly linked to the scene as he was pulled from under a bed in one of the hostels after the siege.
He remained in the hostel even when all other people were called out and came out. The inference is that he must have been fearing to come out and mix with the other students because he could not identify himself.
During the trial, the 2nd, 3rd and 5th accused persons chose not to defend themselves against the charges preferred against them.
The conclusion for the search of the justice for the Garissa victims will come to an end on the 3rd of July this year, when the courts will hand out the sentence that the 3 accused people will serve for their part in that attack that has been described as one of the worst terrorist attacks in recent times in the country. Brenda Wanga, NTV, Nairobi.